4 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the former WBO heavyweight champion, currently ranked number 11 contender by the WBC and the IBF. Introducing Francesco Damiani. And his opponent across the ring. On my left, fighting out of the red corner in this 10-round heavyweight bout. He is wearing black trunks with gold trim, fighting out of Chicago, Illinois. He weighed in at 225 pounds with a record of 21 wins and 5 losses. He has 14 wins coming by way of knockout. He is ranked number 6 in the world by the WBA, the number 8 contender by the IBF. Introducing the Atomic Bull, Oliver McCall. Once again, here's your referee in charge, Jim Kidd.
Center of the ring, please. Oliver. Francesco. The rules governing this fight have been established by the Tennessee Boxing Commission. There'll be a 3 knockdown rule in effect. Standing 8 count is in effect also. We've already gone over the rules on the case of an unintentional headbutt in the dressing room. I want to have a good, clean fight. We'll give you 3 commands: stop, box, and break. This is my commands when I call them. I'm not going to tolerate anything but a good, clean fight. And in between rounds, I want you to stay in the corner until the bell rings. Is there any questions? Shake hands. Let's come out fighting.
Very thorough pre-fight instructions by Jim Kidd of Memphis. Here's Oliver McCall. Told us he intended to jump right on Damiani from bell 1. Damiani told us he's going into this fight, as he does all of his fights, by reacting off of what his opponent does. And that is simply his strategy in the early going. Round 1 scheduled for 10. Oliver McCall in the black trunks with the gold trim, and Francesco Damiani in the white trunks with the blue. McCall's game plan to establish the jab from the get-go. Double, even triple up on the jab. Everything will come off the jab. Combinations, etc. He said he feels his jab has improved since the loss to Tony Tucker last year.
Good argument could be made that the man here who establishes his jab will win this fight.
Damiani, right off the bat, looks extremely flabby through the middle, Bobby.
Yeah, he's never looked like much of a physical specimen, but come round 8, round 9, round 10, he's still bombing and punching. So that's something that could be deceiving.
Richie Giacchetti in the corner of Oliver McCall certainly said, don't sell Damiani short. Even when he lost to Ray Mercer, he was ahead on cards. Up to the point he went down.
He is a deceptive fighter. It doesn't look like he's much, but he just keeps winning all the time. And as Bobby says, his figure doesn't look like a guy's going to be there all 10, but he does. He continues to make the 10, and he's fighting at the very end. So
he's one of those fighters that we say is effective in his awkwardness sometimes.
Yeah.
But he has a good jab. Not a huge puncher, but likes to really club that right hand over the top. And I think that jab right now, McCall's working his, and Damiani's also trying to establish his.
McCall also wants to work the body because, in his words, Damiani doesn't look to be in shape to accept hard shots to the body. Damiani seldom looks like a Greek god, yet he is 30-1.
You know, most of these, while Oliver has started with a hard jab, most of them are being blocked by the glove or sliding and slipping of Damiani. He's very clever in the way he avoids the jab.
Damiani knows McCall is strong, he told us. Says he'll be leery of McCall here in the first round, watching his opponent very closely, doing what he has to do. There is no pre-fight game plan for Francesco Damiani. He doesn't watch tapes of his opponents. His manager watches, but he refuses to watch.
McCall's worked with and fought some of the best heavyweights in the world. He's worked with Ray Mercer. He's worked with Mike Tyson. He's fought Tony Tucker. So he's been in there with some of the best. He's not going to be afraid of anything Damiani has.
And he said he brought in 5 awkward-styled sparring partners to prepare him for Damiani tonight.
And he's certainly used to being the small guy in the ring. Because outside of Tyson, all of the others are much bigger than he is. And tonight, Damiani's got the shade as far as looking like a bigger, bulkier heavyweight than Oliver McCall.
McCall told us Damiani hasn't had as hardcore an opponent as himself in a while. As far as punching power, saying Greg Page, in his fight with Damiani last September, was jumping around too much. He didn't go to work. He didn't go to work. I'll say he was too busy picking up his mouthpiece, which he lost nearly 10 times, you recall. Final seconds.
Sei pronto? Devi comandare di più te, capito? Devi comandare di più.
Round 2 scheduled for 10, the first round of feeling out process. McCall said he's extremely focused, working hard for this moment, feels better than he did when he fought Bruce Seldon, and that was an impressive 9th round TKO in 91. In fact, in our meeting with McCall yesterday, he stood up and proudly displayed his washboard tummy.
A lot more intensity and a lot more energy in this round, as well as the last. I shaded the last round for McCall. He established the jab, and he was more offensive-minded than Damiani, who always starts slow. He seems to be willing to give away the first 2 or 3 rounds.
Oliver just backed him into the corner, threw a couple of good, sharp, hard punches in the clinch. He looked at me and gave me a little nod and a wink. So he feels comfortable in there, and he's doing what he set out to do.
McCall says his loss to Tony Tucker last year, a controversial decision, gives him incentive, really opened his eyes too. Most important thing he learned from that loss is to go hard until the final bell. Don't give the judges a chance. He felt he let up down the stretch, and it cost him.
Well, he's got a guy in the corner in Richard Giacchetti who is not going to let him do that, because you get a bigger beating from Richard Giacchetti and you get in the ring if you start quitting toward the end. He'll scream at you, punch you, you'll do everything. And to add to the bad news, he's got his brother, looks just like him in there. Stereo Giacchetti's is a lot to take.
Giacchetti bookends. Yeah, he is from the Newt Rockney Rah-Rah school in the corner.
It's a virtual nightmare.
Yes, but it makes you fight. When you're lazy, he makes you fight. And that's what Oliver McCall's needed.
McCall says Damiani only moves 2 ways, forward and back. Says I'm quicker and I have the reach advantage to beat Damiani. I asked Damiani how much longer he'd like to fight. He said after he gets by McCall, assuming he does, he hopes to meet the winner of Lennox Lewis and Tony Tucker, capture the WBC heavyweight title, and retire. No title defense. He wants to go out in a blaze of glory.
That would be a blaze of glory for any man, but I think that the big money in the title defense would be too much to pass by. Starting to throw a little bit heavier punches now, but you'll notice Damiani's starting to walk to McCall a little bit instead of the reverse. McCall wanted to push him backwards, and he's allowing Damiani to get a little head of steam.
Nice right hand by Damiani. Not hard, but right on target.
Damiani, former WBO heavyweight champion, 30-1 with 24 knockouts. That lone defeat, the 9th round KO by Ray Mercer when he lost the WBO crown. That was January of 91, 4 fights ago.
Jab of McCall's already puffing up the left eye of Damiani under the eye. He's got a nice little mouse forming there, and it's only the 2nd round.
Oliver McCall, 1 fight this year, a 2nd round TKO over Mike Dixon, January 30th here in Memphis. As we head for the bell in round 2.
L'uomo è quello, qui devi comandare te veramente, qui non gli puoi dare la possibilità di venire, sempre in copertura. Quando metti 2 sinistri, porta subito il gancio destro con determinazione e il match si chiude su quel colpo lì. Prova a farlo però, hai capito?
Here's this good right hand by Damiani. May have won the round for him because it landed flush, and up to this point there's a lot of struggling going on with Oliver starting fast. It didn't have the effect that it should have had. You take a look at it, Bobby.
Yeah, well, you know, I told you, he's going to try and come over the top. That's one of the things he likes to do, get a jab, double jab in, and whip that right hand over the top. If he's effective, it could lead to an early demise for Oliver McCall.
Or at least a loss of consciousness, if not demise.
Round 3, non-title affair, heavyweights, Francesco Damiani versus Oliver McCall. Going back in time a bit, McCall on the undercard of Tyson Holmes in '88 fought Mike the Bounty Hunter. But his trainer at the time, Joe Frazier, the former champ, did not show up because his nephew was fighting at the same time elsewhere. McCall facing Hunter without his trainer, lost by decision. After that, though, he won 3 straight. Things opening up a bit now, crowd getting into it, but they hold.
When I talked to Oliver yesterday, he was convinced that he was in better condition and that if he could force the pace, that Damiani would not be in the same condition based on what he's seen in films in previous fights. And he looks to be trying to do that.
And he's got a bloody nose, has Damiani already. Oliver stepped up the pace from the second round on. I didn't think he took the second round, but he has been the guy that's ticking away here, making the pace speed up. Damiani, oh, a lot of blood on Damiani right now. It's coming from his nose. Remember, that nose has been broken once.
That was by Ray Mercer with a vicious uppercut.
Cicchetti screaming, stay in his face. Stay right there. Don't back up.
In the old sports world days, you used to call this a crossroads fight, and that's exactly what we have here.
That's what we got, Bobby. A good old time crossroad of which you were many of them. You were in many of them.
Good crisp punching on the inside by Oliver McCall, going to the uppercut with the left. Watch the holding and punching. The instructions to Damiani.
Damiani trying to sneak that uppercut in there, but as close as Oliver gets and working himself in the inside, he's not successful.
That uppercut is wreaking havoc on Damiani's face, and I think he took a little bit of a page out of Mercer's book.
Damiani bleeding from the nose. Less than a minute remaining in round 3.
And his left eye puffing up. He's beginning to look like a nightmare. Good solid shots by Damiani. Didn't seem to have the effect on Oliver, who keeps plowing in, keeps coming forward.
Early in the fight, in Damiani's face is a bloody mess.
Oliver came in with a nice snapping jab through the right hand and then dove into his chest. Good technique. Got hit and didn't get hit back.
McCall just keeps coming at Damiani.
Damiani trying to find the space to punch, but Oliver punches and comes in.
Right hand by Damiani.
Yep, that was a nice combination by Damiani. He needs a space to punch.
Poggi lì, come va? Buono. Mi dai un po' d'acqua per favore? Come va? Non facciamo lo scherzo che devi fare, qui devi fare lo termine. Non c'è problema. Non c'è problema se metto lo fai, capito?
Let's watch that action as McCall drives in. As soon as he punches, he gets in with an uppercut and then smothers Damiani, so he can't come back. Nice series of punches from McCall and won him the round handily, I thought.
Let's get the interpretation from Massimo Lopez Pena. Tell us what happened in that Damiani corner. Massimo.
Elio Gelfi was asking Damiani how he was doing, and he was saying very well, very well. So it looks kind of sure of himself still.
Massimo, U.S. correspondent for Gazzetta dello Sport, the largest sports daily in Europe, helping us tonight with the Italian translation. Round 4, scheduled for 10. Oliver McCall looking very sharp. McCall, extremely outgoing personality, very lively and gregarious. Continues to bore in on Damiani just above us.
Even though he's a little lighter than Damiani, right now he seems to be a little stronger, and certainly his upper body strength is prevailing inside.
and his speed, Bobby. As he punches, he dives in like smothering the guy before he can come back before Damiani. If Damiani can start to get off out here, as they say, you first. I mean, if he can start to get off, maybe you'd have a little better chances than what's happening to him right now, as his face is coming apart.
He's still trying to throw that big right hand, Damiani, but I think that Oliver's very aware of it, having watched some of the tapes, especially the Page fight, and it's not being very effective as of yet.
Oliver McCall in the black trunks gives away 9 pounds to Damiani, who's 234. Now going to the ribs, left uppercut once again by McCall. And a comebacker by Damiani, but he is immediately held by McCall.
Something that many of the good fighters do on the inside, what you just saw McCall do. He went over and around with one shot, the next one's up the middle, then around again, changing the angle of the punch so that the fighters have a more difficult time blocking him. Right now, he's doing a hell of a job.
Right now, he's doing everything Richard Giacchetti asked him to do. And Richard Giacchetti insists on that uppercut, and that uppercut is one of the keys that's breaking up Damiani's face.
And perhaps he did learn well from that loss to Tony Tucker. Just not letting up Oliver McCall.
Now it's a full court press here by McCall. He's a man that would rather play basketball than box, and he is doing a full court press right now. He's on him, comes, pushes him, grabs him. Damiani trying to fight back.
Looking to slam dunk Francesco Damiani here in round 4. Big Chicago Bulls fan, obviously, and he did tell us that he would be a basketball player if not for boxing.
Damiani trying to take control here. He's trying to get back into this fight and trying to muscle up. Oliver is not hurting him.
Damiani looking very frustrated here all of a sudden. McCall not giving him any leeway to throw punches, staying close. Oh, that tagged Damiani in the head, and Damiani walked right into it. Main event coming up next. Michael Dunn in his dressing room awaiting his 3rd defense of the WBA super middleweight title. Former IBF middleweight champ who made 5 defenses of that crown before the loss to James Toney. His only loss, and one that will continue to haunt him until perhaps they meet again at 168. They could be on a collision course, but first things first, is Nunn looks to dispose of Britain's Crawford Ashley tonight.
What we come up here to do? What we come up here to do? Let's get business. Get business. Come up here to do it now.
Here at the Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee, this is our co-feature, a battle of heavyweights, Francesco Damiani and Oliver McCall getting set for round number 5. Steve Albert, Bobby Chaz, and the fight doctor, Bernie Pacheco.
Hai capito? Roberto, ma adesso devi andare.
Let's go, McCall.
Oliver McCall has pretty much had his way up to this point.
A little bit more worry from the corner of Damiani. They're screaming at him now, and now both eyes are beginning to swell. And no mark on Oliver McCall, although he's taking some shots himself.
And blood all over the front of the white trunks of Damiani, which does not make for a pretty picture.
The swelling around his eyes and the cuts and nose bleeding somehow tends to change a strategy on a fighter, but right now what he's doing isn't working, so he needs to change it anyway.
The doctor came in and took a look at it, apparently satisfied that it wasn't broken or that it wasn't harming him. It's just bleeding, and so therefore they've let the corner work on it and stop it. They've done an excellent job.
A lunging left by McCall, but a glancing blow. Damiani, generally not a bad boxer, pretty good jab, but we haven't seen much of it tonight. McCall has just taken it out.
I think the energy and the speed with which he's fighting, impelled by Giacchetti's commands to just go at him and throw uppercuts when you get inside and then fall in, has changed Damiani into a confused fighter. He just doesn't really know how to take care of this right now.
Well, so Damiani's never been a quick starter and a strong starter, and he was forced to fight right away, and that may have really thrown him off.
And at this rate, he may not get a chance to finish.
Fight out.
Heavyweights, one punch can change everything around, and so This is still up in the air. You really don't know. McCall is fighting a very good fight. Damiani's not fighting the fight he wants, but one punch can change it.
McCall works the jab to the head of Damiani. And Francesco tying him up. Good duck under move by McCall to elude that try being shot by Damiani. And a right hand by McCall. That connected.
McCall said he was going to give him a little more movement. He didn't want to be able to get hit with that right hand over and over again as he saw Greg Page did. And he is doing his best to duck him, slip him, block him, and he's working off it.
Damiani, unanimous decision over Page in Las Vegas back in September of '92. That was his last fight about 7 months ago. Less than 30 seconds remaining in round 5.
Again, the inside uppercut by McCall doing its damage. It's small and it's short, but boy, is it breaking up Damiani's face.
There's those short, crisp uppercuts once again by McCall, doing damage. And round 5 is in the books.
Deep breath, big deep breath. Water bottle. Oh, you got a punch, Oliver. Yeah. Come see. Come see. Rock. Come on, boy.
6th round. 6th round. Ehi, il mondo ti sta guardando. Ehi, 6th round. Yeah. Number 6. Hai capito? Perché vai giù di morale? Quello non tira un colpo ogni ripresa adesso, non ne può più. Schietto.
Gancio sinistro finale.
Non pare. Pensa alla fatica che ha fatto Laurel, tutto quello che devi fare te. Pensaci.
Non fatti un culo vergognoso, non puoi...
Non puoi non vincere questo match. Non puoi.
Okay, once again over to Massimo for the translation.
The world is watching you, Francesco. You have to go on. You have to go on. The world is watching you. He's saying...
and he also said you're losing. He said he began by saying you're losing. The world is watching. The world is watching is right.
Not too much pressure to put on the young man.
No.
Round 6. We got a little double interpretation there from Massimo Adford.
Well, up to this point, he's been very, the corner has been very quiet, saying, well, you're winning, go ahead. Now it's the first time I heard him say you're losing.
There are those uppercuts once again being administered. Combination by McCall.
Damiani's not getting out of the way of any of the shots. He's almost not even attempting to block him. He just seems to be intent on pushing McCall back and using his extra weight, but he's not developing a jab or anything here. I mean, there's no strategy, no planning. I can't see it.
He told us before the fight he doesn't have a plan.
Well, he's carrying that out.
Absolutely.
I think what Bobby just described is a good description of a confused fighter, of a frustrated fighter that doesn't know how to get to the other guy and turn it in his favor.
You know, the nose and the bleeding could be bothering him. He could have been taken off guard, as I said, by Oliver McCall's charge in the early part of round 1 and 2, and it may have just taken him so far out of his game he can't get back into it.
Well, he's got to land something, Bobby. He's really missing wildly, and that tires you out, but he's not doing any damage to McCall, so McCall is kind of reckless in coming in. He doesn't think he's going to get hammered coming in. Punches are not having any effect on him. Most of them are missing. It's sort of a bewildered Damiani that we're seeing here.
I think McCall is putting Damiani's nose back in place, actually.
I think it's flip-flopping from one side of the face to the other.
Now, right about now, there's more turns on his nose on a highway. It's not a pretty picture.
Let go of it.
Damiani now beginning to hold his nose, and that's not a good sign. That means it's bothering him.
You can see him just forcing that right hand, throws a jab and just forces the right hand, but there's no hook or uppercut behind it. And McCall kicking the right hand, slipping under it, and there's no uppercut to meet him. Here he tried a right uppercut, but not quite the same.
From too far out, Bobby. He tried way out from that. That would have never landed from there with any kind of effect unless he was throwing it to the body. And
that's normally a no-no. You're right.
He just didn't do it. And every time he goes to fall in with McCall, McCall beats him with a jab. Speed is beating him.
Come on now. Knock down.
Speed and determination and a damn good game plan on the part of Oliver McCall.
Oliver McCall coming into this fight known as a solid journeyman. Never been stopped. And tonight looking to move up the ladder some more and prove his point. And he's looking impressive here tonight against the veteran Francesco Damiani, a former world champ, as we head for the bell in round number 6. Well, this is the second world title fight in Memphis. The first world title fight in Tennessee took place in '80 in Knoxville. Mike Weaver knocking out Big John Tate. And we want to remind you that back on April 16th, Don King announced that he will donate the proceeds from tonight's gate to the city of Memphis in memory of the 25th anniversary of the death of Martin Luther King. Memphis's mayor, W.W. Harrington, a former boxer himself, has selected charitable organizations that will benefit from tonight's program. In addition, yesterday, Don King and Showtime contributed $50,000 to Mayor Harrington's youth program so underprivileged kids of Memphis could see a world championship fight. That's coming up after this affair.
These impressive uppercuts, the first of which you just saw, and the way that he keeps in close to Damiani and outspeeds him is what's changing this fight. Not changing it, it's been one way all the way from the beginning.
By the way, in that first world title fight in '80, that was in Knoxville, Tennessee, Mike Weaver knocked out Big John Tate in the 15th for the WBA heavyweight title. Weaver had lost every round and knocked out Tate with about 20 seconds left. Francesco Damiani hoping for deja vu, although this is not a championship fight. 7th round.
Well, it'd be hard-pressed to give Damiani too many of these rounds outside of those, maybe 1 or 2 of those early ones, but the rest has been all McCall on a roll here.
I think I gave Damiani the second round. I'm not sure if I gave him anything past that.
I think the second's the only one I've got on my card.
No, break.
Now, from here on out, it's up to Giacchetti in the corner to keep him steamed up. Don't let him go to sleep and glide toward these last rounds. He's got to keep right on that pace. He cannot rest. He can't. McCall can't do anything different than he's doing. He can't let Damiani back in the fight.
Conditioning has been a question mark in the past as far as Oliver McCall, sometimes tiring during rounds and laying back, but so far not showing evidence of that.
Fight out, fellas. No holding.
Halfway through the 7th. Referee Jim Kidd warning against the headbutting to Oliver McCall.
When Oliver McCall digs a punch and then dives for the chest, his head goes first. And the referee just now noticed it, but it's been there all during the fight, and it's not helping the face of Damiani any to keep getting hit by a head.
Combination of uppercuts just like that one, and the headbutting has made a mess of Damiani.
First time Damiani's looked at his corner in this whole fight just then. He got hit, and he looked at the corner as almost in desperation. So you got any suggestions here, guys?
Well, I'll tell you, Oliver McCall, he's doing what he has to, and I think that Damiani, after not having established his jab, is just having a world of trouble getting in the sink. And now he's trying these desperate, he's fighting the fight from behind, a catch-up fight, trying to land that big right hand. He's not going to knock McCall out with one right hand. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen with a guy that's that weary and has the kind of damage he's got. Also, he doesn't look like he's leading in the dancing in it. He's still waiting for McCall to trigger off first. That old adage, you first, comes to mind, and that's what Oliver McCall is doing. He's being first.
Round 7 is history of this non-title heavyweight affair. Well, we assume the challenger for the main event, Crawford Ashley, is behind this door, remains secluded, giving us the marvelous Marvin Hagler treatment. I guess Hagler was the last fighter to keep his door closed. So backstage, Again, we assume Ashley gearing up for his first shot at a world championship. Really wants his privacy, doesn't he? The former British light heavyweight champ set to make his U.S. debut a little bit later, coming down in weight to fight Michael Nunn for the WBA super middleweight title.
Come on, Oliver. Stay with the game plan. And swell, Bobby. Come on, Oliver. Spit it out. Good. Next time. Come on, Oliver. Stay with it. Stay with the plan, the jab. Then you work inside. Shoe shine inside. Work him in there. Stay with the jab.
You hear the words of McCall's trainer, Richie Giacchetti. Stay with the jab, just like the game plan. And then shoe shine him. Work him inside.
And that shoe shining he refers to is a rapid 2 or 3 punches to the inside and an uppercut to follow. He's been doing that to perfection. He can't abandon that now because that's what got him this far and kept him from receiving a lot of punishment from Damiani. He is unscratched as Oliver McCall, whereas Damiani looks like he ran into a train.
And you'll see after McCall throws a jab and then the right hand, he comes up with the uppercut. He comes from another angle with some of the punches. Again, there he does it again. Damiani is not doing that. His are all coming from the same place, over the top.
Nor has he figured out how to stop that uppercut. He hadn't put his glove under his chin. He hasn't crossed any. He hasn't done anything to stop the uppercut. He just receives it.
Into round 8, scheduled for 10. Just about a minute gone by.
Something I spoke about earlier with regard to McCall is that he had to be more consistent. And here he goes.
Great. And this could be it.
Quitting. Damiani's quitting just like he did with Mercer. His nose. Exactly the same thing.
Unbelievable.
Exactly the same thing. A replay of the Mercer. Got hit right on the nose, turned his back, and said, that's it. I don't want to get hit there no more.
That was round 9 in January of '91. This is round number 8. And Oliver McCall victorious via TKO as the fight is stopped, as Francesco Damiani says that is it, no more.
Well, a dramatic finish to a fight that had been primarily a rout. I mean, that's McCall was having his way. It's kind of merciful that it stopped this way because there was almost no chance for Damiani to pull this out, and his nose obviously is broken again.
You know, it's something we don't see a lot in the ring from top contenders and world champions that they quit. I've seen guys with eyes, broken hands, you name it. We just finished the fight. That's part of our job.
Yeah. Bobby, I think that's kind of the difference between the mystique or the element of courage in American, South American fighters. And in Europe, they sort of better sense takes over and says, I don't need to take any of this. I'm quitting. And
they call it retirement.
Yeah, they retire, and more honorably over there than here.
Yeah.
I mean, and in Mexico, they would have been throwing cushions and shooting in the ceiling over something like this. But that's the way it is. Every part of the world has a different viewpoint of this. I don't happen to mind too much to see a guy with a broken nose quit because he had nowhere to go.
Oliver McCall goes to 22-5, 15 knockouts, only the second loss for Damiani.
Well, let's take a look at the punch. What done it, as they say. And that is that overhand right on the button. Now watch the instant reaction. Uh-oh, that's it. I don't want any more of that. That thing is stopped by his corner, by the referee, by the fighter himself. Actually, the fighter just almost disqualified himself by doing that. But it's a TKO.
Yeah, basically, we could call this right hand right on the button, literally, and this is what we call a passive defense. He just doesn't want any more of Oliver McCall, and, you know, you have to stop the fight here. You certainly can't let it continue. Yeah. The fighter doesn't want to.
By the way, McCall was justified in doing that, although it was like window dressing. He didn't have to punch him anymore. It's right on the button. As he goes back, you know, he's already made a gesture with his glove. He don't want any more.
Yeah, but there's adrenaline involved, and there's opportunity.
It's okay. I mean, it wasn't a flagrant foul. It wasn't even a foul. It was just, hey, you defend yourself till the fight's over, till the referee tells you it's over.
I agree.
And I think he did. I think it was well handled.
A parting shot just for good measure by Oliver McCall. Oliver McCall victorious here tonight over Francesco Damiani.
What time is it? Go time.
The Atomic Bull prevailing, having his way throughout the entire fight. Let's get the official announcement from our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout has been stopped at 1 minute 9 seconds in round number 8. The fighter retires. The winner by way of technical knockout, the Atomic Bull, Oliver McCall.
Not only do we have the visual of that punch by Oliver McCall, but let's hear how the broken nose of Francesco Damiani sounded. The vicious right hand of Oliver the Atomic Bull McCall just creaming the nose of Francesco Damiani. He waved it off, and as they say, retirement for Francesco Damiani. And you wonder if it will drive him into retirement for good, as he is consoled and hugged in the corner by his corner people. The fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, is standing by in the ring with Oliver McCall. Ferdy?
Oliver, you did exactly what Richard Giacchetti said you were going to do in our little meeting. Jabbed, you came up with uppercuts, and you fell in and smothered him. Did you think he was hurt as badly as he was?
Yes, he was definitely hurt. But what it was, see, what I've learned that this Italian here, he's a very hard fighter. He came to me. I was hitting him with some devastating blows, uppercuts that I knew was hurting him. But he kept coming back, and I had to regroup. But once I caught my balance and listened to my corner and started digging the jab to the nose, coming back up with the uppercut, and I found the left hook. The left hook really done it.
All right, the uppercut strategy. You devised a strategy. You kept after him. I hear you tell him, keep the jab, but keep the uppercut coming. Was that your idea to
Well, that's how we figured out. We watched the fights from the Greg Page fight, and we listened to everybody in the camp. It was a team effort, and we come back with the uppercuts and the jab. But the jab started everything, and you know all the fighters, you have to start with the jab and finish with it. A couple of times when he didn't jab, Freddie, he got hit, and he went back to it, and he come up with that.
All right, I don't think anybody anticipated that great a victory because you were routing him. You were just beating him. Does this mean that this man now goes in the top contender? Here's Don. You're the man that does it.
Yes, he's going to do it because he's number 4 in the IBF now. He's going to go right on down the line and be ready to fight any one of the champions that are going to be. And Tony Tucker's going to shock the world when he knocks out Lennox Lewis. So then they got it on again. Rematch. It's going to be exciting. In Showtime, we got the best in championship boxing.
You good too.
Yes.
We don't make it me and the king got a jungle.
All right, Damiani here in a moment of sportsmanship came over. La nariz fracturada.
Può darsi ancora dalla vecchia sconfitta.
Yeah. He thinks it's broken. I'm sorry.
From the old fight with Mercer, probably.
Yeah. He felt that was a refraction from the fight with Morris, and he couldn't continue.
Good, buono. Dovevo incontrarlo 4-5 anni fa. Forse 4-5 anni fa potevo vincere.
I had to fight him maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe I had some chance.
Where were you 4 or 5 years ago? All right, from a very jubilant corner down to Steve Albert at ringside.
And just as everybody imagined, Fitzia is going to come to Bruno. Bruno won't have to go looking for him.